What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the Money Warrior Network, where we talk about everything real estate investing, financial investing, and everything that's good for your financial life. So, guys, I want to talk to you today a little bit about the 2023 housing market crash. So, I hear a lot of folks talking about how they feel that the economy's going to kind of resort back to 2008. And a lot of people are waiting to buy because they want to get those low house prices that we saw in 2008, 2009, and 2010. So, guys, what I want to kind of explain is my theory on that and what I think is going to happen. But before I get too far into the video, if you want more future content on this very subject and how to build financial wealth through real estate investing, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, click the like button below. Definitely would love to have your support. So, when going into this subject, I want to take you on a quick history lesson, right? So let's go back to the early 2000s when all of this happened and the things that led to the 2008 financial crash. So in the early 2000s, lenders were lending on mortgages, and investment banks started to buy those mortgages so they could sell them as mortgage-backed securities. So think of your lender as a Rocket Mortgage or a local Carrington Mortgage. Some of these different mortgage houses, they don't actually keep the home when they buy it. Usually what they do is once they finance it, they'll go ahead and they'll sell it off to a larger investment lender. And that's what happened in 2008. It still happens today, but there was no regulatory oversight in place to make sure that there wasn't predatory lending. So that's how we got into the situation we got into in 2008. So these large banks, investment banks, were buying these mortgage loans. They're buying thousands of them at a time. And then once they bought them, they would actually issue them out to individuals like you and me as mortgage-backed securities. So you would take a share of that security, almost like buying a stock. So let's say you bought 3 shares of stock from Coca-Cola. Same thing, except now you're buying the interest in some of these mortgages, which are promising you a certain amount of a return. So once they started buying these mortgages and then they started selling them as mortgage-backed securities, everything was going great. Everybody was making money. The housing market values were continuing to increase, so they were making even more money. But what happened is the lenders that these investment banks were buying the properties from started to get really greedy. So instead of qualifying you and I for a mortgage, looking at our job, our income, making sure it's in a set ratio, they were actually financing people for mortgages that really didn't qualify. Meaning they were doing things like stated income. So if you said you made $120,000, they're going to put that down without actually verifying your income. So what happened is a lot of people started to get mortgages that they couldn't afford. So once these lenders were giving folks mortgages, they were still selling these bad mortgages to the investment banks. So I would probably say around 2007, we started to see a flood of foreclosures from those bad mortgages because either people were losing their jobs or they couldn't afford them in the first place. So this led to defaults. Once we started to see those defaults hit the market, investment banks immediately start to put a hold on the mortgages that they were buying from these lenders. So once they started to do that, we started to see a lot of investment banks fail. If you remember, a lot of banks failed during this time, and this was the main reason why they were buying bad mortgages. Okay. Now, on the other side of that, it really affected the job market as well because people started to put their houses on the market, people started to lose jobs, and that basically flooded the market with these bad homes. Okay. So when you think about supply and demand, if you have 100,000 homes on the market and you only have 2,000 borrowers who want to buy, then that's going to drive the price of the mortgages down. And that's exactly what happened. So remember, guys, I told you earlier about the mortgage-backed securities. So now that house values went down, those mortgage-backed securities that were being purchased, they actually decreased as well. So now you have these mortgage-backed securities that aren't worth any money anymore. You have flooded houses on the housing market, so everything started to tank. So that's why we got into the issue of 2008. So what's happening different in 2023? Now the government instituted something in 2010 called the Dodd-Frank Act. And what this was built for was to reduce predatory lending, also to not protect banks as much, but hold banks more accountable to the loans that they give out. So that's why you see now it's a little bit more difficult to get a mortgage. You know, you can't use stated income. Now you got to provide W-2s. You got to provide tax returns. You have to be on your job for a certain amount of time. That's why mortgage lending is a lot more difficult now. But that's actually creating a fail-safe so we don't have the same issue that we had in 2008. So my analysis on this is that I don't think the market is going to fail in 2023, or we're not going to have a major market crash. We're always going to have recessions. We're always going to have setbacks. Mortgages will, or loans, or home values will decrease and they will fluctuate up and down. But I don't think we'll see it at the significant pace that we saw it in 2008 because we have more regulations in place to make sure that this doesn't happen. So guys, for you that are trying to wait to buy a home because interest rates are high, house prices are high, and you want to try to wait till home values go down significantly, I really don't think that that's going to happen. We may see another 5-10% decrease in home values, but we won't see 50% decreases like we saw in 2008. So guys, if you're looking to buy, as I always say, buy now. Buy now for the future. Interest rates are going to go back down. We're not always going to be at 6%, 7% interest rates. Interest rates will go back down, but house values will continue to climb incrementally. So that's how it's always been in the US, guys. If you look at a house back in the 1970s, 1960s, you could buy a house for 15 grand. You're not going to do that these days. So we need to be thinking ahead so that we can build generational wealth for tomorrow. So guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning into the video. And as always, plan your excellence today so that you can have success tomorrow. Peace.